6. Today we're going to be talking about percent proportions. So this is really building on that whole lesson that we did a few lessons back, where we had two proportions and we had to solve for a variable using the proportions. We're going to be doing the same thing this time. So a percent proportion is one ratio that compares part of a quantity to the whole quantity. So basically, an example of this will look like, you'll have a question that says, 5 is what percent of 8? And you're going to have to set this up. So you're going to have to say 5 is what percent of 8. So since it says percent of, that means it's going to be the number that's in the denominator. And then we have on the other side of the equal sign, or the other ratio we're talking about, is the percent over 100%. So basically you're always going to have a ratio over here that they're going to give you one or both of those numbers. And then this is going to be the part of the percent. So this could be like 90% or something percent, and over 100. So you're always going to have a ratio and another percent over 100%. Okay? So let's go ahead and talk about some certain situations. So if you have a question that sounds something like 3 is what percent of 4, that means that you're going to be searching for the partial percent. So the number that would go here. So basically you know that 3 is going to be in the numerator, and then when it says of 4, that means that's going to be the number in the denominator, and then we're solving for this partial percent right here. And then we'll have the other number will be 100, and we'll do cross multiplication to solve for that variable. Also, there's a different type of question that you're going to get, and it's going to say, what number is 75% of 4? So first of all, I see a percent, and I know that that's going to be set up on top of my 100% because that's the partial percent. And then I see of 4. So I see of, so that means that that's going to be my denominator, so of 4. So that means that I'm going to be solving for my part, which is my numerator. So I'm going to be solving for this number, and we're going to use cross multiplication and then solve for our missing variable. Alright, the last different circumstance is that it'll say 3 is 75% of what number. So since it says of what number, that means that we're going to be looking for the denominator, or the whole of this ratio. So this is the part and this is the whole, so we're going to be searching for the whole. We're also given 3, so we know that 3 is in our numerator. We're given 75%, which shows us that that's our partial percent, so that will be over 100. Okay, so let's go ahead and do some examples. Let's go ahead and look at our first example. Before we even set up our equation, we need to know some things real quick. We need to know what we're looking for. So first of all, we know we have two proportions, right? We know that this is going to be 100%, and then we're going to have a number, a different partial percent. So this is a partial percent, and then we're going to have two numbers. And we know that whatever number goes here is going to say percent of something. That will be your number. So let's go ahead and read our question and pick out our different parts. So first of all, I see 15 is what percent of 20. So first of all, when I see what percent, I know that we're not going to know this number. So I know that this is going to be my variable, x. So what percent of 20? I see the word the of 20, so I know 20 is going to be my denominator. And then my last number that I need to fill in is 15. So now I know I have it set up right. And I'm going to go ahead and do cross multiplication to solve for our missing variable, just like we did before. So we have 100 times 15, and that's going to give us 1,500 equals 20 times x, which is going to give us 20x. And now let's go ahead and solve for our missing variable by dividing. So we have to divide by 20, divide by 20. So we have 1,500 divided by 20. So 20 goes into 150. It goes in 7 times, because 7 times 20 is going to give us 140. We're going to go ahead and subtract, and we're going to get 10 and bring down our 0. And 20 goes into 100 5 times. So now we have 75. But what kind of number is this? Is this going to be one of those normal numbers, or is it a percent? And since it's in the partial percent section, what we're solving for, that means we're looking for 75%. And then we can always look back at our original question. It says 15 is what percent of 20? It is 20%, or 75% of 20. So that answers our question. Alright, so number 2, it says what percent of 5 is 12? So first of all, I see what percent. So I know that I'm going to be searching for my partial percent. So I know I have two ratios, and I'm going to be searching for the numerator of the percents because that's the partial percent. So what percent of 5, so we know that 5 is in the denominator, is 12. So 12 is going to be in our numerator. So now we know we have it set up correctly. So let's go ahead and do some cross multiplication and then solve for our missing variable. So first of all, let's do 100 times 12, which is going to give us 1200 equals 5 times x, which is going to give us 5x. And now let's go ahead and solve by division. So 5x divided by 5, 1200 divided by 5. Let's do our math on the side. 1200 divided by 5. 5 goes into 12 about 2 times. That's going to give us 10. Subtract, we'll get 2. 0. 5 goes into 20. It goes in 4 times exactly. We're going to get a 0. Bring down our 0. It goes in 0 times. So it's going to be 240 what? So since we are searching for what percent, it's going to be 240%. Now you might be thinking, well, that's kind of big. It's bigger than 100. But if you look over here, if these two ratios are proportional, our numerator is bigger than our denominator over here. So that means that over here, our numerator needs to be bigger than our denominator. So if you ever kind of feel a little bit unsure, like put it back in its place and see, does it make sense? Is it a reasonable answer? And in this case, it is. Okay, number 3. It says, what number is 11.4% of 330? So first of all, I'm looking at what number. So we are looking for a certain number. Now, which number are we looking for? So first of all, we always know that this second denominator is always 100 because this is talking about the part out of 100 or the partial percent out of 100. We're also given a percent. So that means 11.4 goes in our numerator. And then it says of 330. And since it says of 330, we know that that's going to be our denominator. And then we are looking for this number. All right, now let's go ahead and cross multiply to solve. So 100 times x is going to give you 100x equals 330 times 11.4. So as soon as we do 330 times 11.4, we're going to get 3,762. So now let's go ahead and solve for x by division. So let's go ahead and divide by 100, divide by 100. And anytime you divide a number by 100, that's just moving a decimal place 2 places to the left. So we're going to go ahead and find out that x is equal to 37.62. 37 and 62 hundredths. All right, so that would be our answer. Now let's go ahead and look at number 4. It says 63 is 30% of what number? So first of all, I know I have two ratios here. This one is set over 100 because it's our percent. And now let's pick out our numbers. So first of all, I see that we have 30%. So 30 goes over 100. And then it says of what number? So that means we're going to be looking for this number because it says of what number. So of will go in the denominator. And then our last number, 63, is just going to be plugged in the numerator. And now let's go ahead and solve. So 100 times 63 is going to give us 6,300 equals 30 times x, which is going to give us 30x. Now let's go ahead and divide. So 30 divided by 30, divide by 30. So we have 6,300 divided by 30. 30 goes into 63, goes in twice because that will give us 60. Subtract and get a 3, bring down our 0. 30 goes into 30 one time, we're going to get 0. Bring down our 0. 30 goes into 0 times. So we're going to have 210 will be our missing number. All right? As always, go ahead and rewind if there's any part that kind of troubled you a little bit, or if you just want to watch these done one more time, that is okay. Make sure you have all your notes that are on the front of the board. Now let's go ahead and do some on your own questions. All right, you have 4 problems to do for me. Go ahead and solve these and we'll see what you get tomorrow. Good luck.